Thursday.
It is Thursday. Welcome, Council Clubsters. Clubbers? Welcome to Council Club. It is Thursday, March 3rd. We're going to recap what happened at Tuesday City Council. We're also going to touch a little bit on what happened yesterday at the Planning Board. And then we will look forward to this coming Tuesday's agenda, which is pretty short. So as per usual, no such thing as a silly question. Hop in anytime. We are all learning together and figuring it out as we go and trying to be more transparent about it than the dang city of Omaha. As per usual, I am bummed on this town. Okay. So first of all, looking to Tuesday, the 1st, there's a bunch of TIF that was handed out like they like to do. $2 million in TIF for the old Cocoa Keys Water Park facility. They're going to be doing some new development there at 72nd and Grover, of course, awarded without much discussion. Then we had about 3.8 million in TIF for a warehouse kind of off of Abbott Drive by Epley, sort of. It's that Frank Kretschke guy. He's the same developer that owns Crossroads. He's got his hands in a lot of TIF money. And then I know we've talked a lot over the last several months, and we, kind of have given up on it with the whole TIF for the Blackstone development at 38th Ave, just south of Dodge by Blackstone. Historic properties. I think it's about a total of 20 affordable units. 17 were occupied. They did at least talk about helping them relocate, but it was kind of vague as to what they were doing. They said something strange about deposit status that caught our ear.
That's right. They said we found a place within 2 miles that they would somehow transfer, like they got them like a free deposit or not have to put it. They would transfer their deposit to the new place. Mm-hmm. Didn't say anything about if the rent was the same.
Right.
They kind of left that part out. It was like, we found a place, but we'll swap your deposit. But
and their version of affordable, because they're going to have 10 whole units of this 130 unit apartment building on the Orbit line with too much parking. These are things we've already talked about, but just to reiterate, they also think $900 a month is affordable for a studio apartment, which I guess, since we've also talked about before, there isn't a true definition in Omaha about what affordable means. It's just kind of like whatever you think affordable means. So it passed, of course. The big exciting update that the developers came to share about during their presentation involved how they are rotating the design so that the courtyard faces 38th Ave instead of Dodge Street now. They're real jazzed about that. Just like, okay, doesn't seem like anything that I've been hearing complaints about. Like, what about more units that are affordable? What about less parking? What about? But
anyway. That's interesting how they can actually, so they rotated the entire
project,
building.
it looked like, yeah.
I wonder, as far as like, so they can make, do you consider that a substantial change, or
I don't know,
or what if they just took the drawing and like, how about we go this way? But
that's what it
as
looked
opposed
like.
to like,
but I'm not an engineer.
Also, why would you have put a courtyard on Dodge anyway? Like, that doesn't even make sense. If you want people to relax in a courtyard, you don't want a bunch of traffic noise. So
yeah, it just goes to show how much they're thinking this through.
Right.
So let's just quickly give them $4 million in TIF incentives. Why wouldn't we? Ooh, we're gonna have a lot of TIF heavy conversation this evening, folks. So buckle up. One in Benson faces radio. Yeah, the little sign, that's true. Yeah, there's
Benson
some
lights. Yeah,
some interesting designs out there. Okay. We were talking about how it was funny that so there was we're moving on to liquor licenses now. La Sierra had some opposition. It got laid over. It did pass this time. We were laughing because we were like, Begley was making jokes that were not even a joke, like, I'll come down and have a taco. And the lady's like, we don't have tacos. And we were like, oh my gosh, it's not a Mexican restaurant. Like, no, it is. They just don't have tacos. They have burritos. So hopefully Begley will figure that out and go with burrito. Anyway, it passed. There was some weird conversation from like the Dolman Neighborhood Association. And they were like, how do you not, something about how they don't have like a commercial kitchen, but they're making homemade food. I don't know. There was a lot of weird conversation on that, but it passed. The other kind of interesting thing that happened was around the biosludge opposition. Scott, you want to talk about what all you...
So there's these trailers, they have to haul the sludge, which is sewage, right?
I think.
They have to haul it somewhere. So they and it was the first time that I've seen Senator Justin Wayne at City Council. It sounds like he's been, we know that he's been talking to the mayor about TIF projects and how the city is abusing TIF. But he said he was there this past Tuesday, not as a senator, but actually representing his law firm is representing one of the bidders for these sludge haulers, these trailers that haul sludge. And basically the bid process is all convoluted. And he is getting ready to basically sue the city of Omaha over this
Process, basically.
Yeah, non-competitive, and like it's so many just so many failures, or Murphy's Law. What can't go wrong will go wrong. They sent out, so they were the lowest bidder. It's always lowest and best, or it's actually lowest and response. No,
I think responsible.
responsible. Yeah, instead of best, they said now responsible. So they met the bid requirements. But I'm sorry, the bid was rejected, and they sent the rejection letter. You have 10 days to reply or to appeal the rejection. The rejection letter showed up on the 10th day, and so they literally it was sort of a comedy of errors. It was sent out on December 28th and didn't show up until January 7th. So I'm just thinking about all the holidays. Or not all, but there might have been a weekend and a holiday. But just a cluster of mail didn't show up on time. And then I actually so there's a guy in Public Works named Jim Tyler, who I actually have become friends with on Twitter. He's surprisingly good at his job.
Yeah, he actually gets stuff done. If you need something done with Public Works, tweet at Jim Tyler.
Yeah.
That's how I got recycling at City Hall. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I just got a light. So there was a traffic signal that has been burned out for 2 months in Dundee, right in front of AB's.
50th Underwood.
Sent it to the mayor's hotline. They closed it within a day. It's been burned out for weeks or months now.
Months, yeah.
And so I messaged Jim Tyler on Friday. The light was fixed on Monday.
Yeah.
And I was just like, so what? And my biggest thing with that was, so is the mayor's hotline not the right way to do it? And
Clearly.
he didn't want to say anything. It's just like, no. But if you tag Omaha Public Works on Twitter instead of taking it to the mayor's hotline, that gets shit done. But anyway, so Jim Tyler was up there, and he is basically contradicting what Senator Wayne was saying. They said that they tested the truck. Senator Wayne says the test was successful. Jim Tyler says it wasn't successful, or that it failed the test. So yeah, there was some back and forth. And then procedurally, they're not supposed to vote. The city council was not supposed to vote on this until this upcoming March 8th meeting. And it even says right there, today, last Tuesday was the public hearing. But then right in the middle of the public hearing, they tried to lay it over for 2 extra weeks.
Yeah, Councillor Johnson motioned to lay it over. It was kind of a cute mess up that she did, but she got it worded correctly that she wanted it laid over, and then it failed.
But the thing is, there was no vote. It says right there on the agenda, they'll vote on it next week. So to me, I was just like, how can you? I've never seen them vote on something
that wasn't since she motioned to move the vote when the vote wasn't what was happening this last week. Is that what you're,
yeah. It was.
This might not be as interesting to everybody else, but we've really been going deep. But yeah, keep going.
And so, but then the motion to lay over failed.
4-3.
4-3. And then while they were talking back and forth, we know Harding said that 2 council members are going to be absent on the 15th.
Yeah.
We don't know why, but we're scrambling. What's going on the 15th? Why do we know 2 or 3 weeks in advance that they're not going to be here? It seems like there's going to be some kind of function where
we think it's going to be Festerson and Melton won't be there on the 15th, and then there is no meeting on the 29th or the 22nd. I'm sorry. So they were worried that if they lay it over, it won't actually be dealt with until the 29th. So the motion failed, and it will be voted on this coming Tuesday, item 26.
I was just thinking about how we need to take extra look at what's happening on that 15th agenda. But then,
Oh, yeah, to see,
because we might be able to
They'll be
get something
missing out.
snuck through because
they'll only have.
we're going to be
5.
missing 2 Republicans. If Festerson's not there, he votes like a Republican every
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
So we're actually going to have, there would be 3-2. It'd be Harding and Rowe versus the other 3.
Begley, Johnson.
Yeah.
And.
But then they'll do a
Palermo.
reconsider.
Yeah,
the follow-
that's
so
true.
anyway, that's yeah.
All
So
right.
so yeah, so the bio sludge is going up for, they're going to actually vote on it this
Coming
Tuesday,
Tuesday,
this
right.
upcoming Tuesday. And Breaker Harding was just kind of like, oh, don't worry about the lawsuit. That's not gonna let's just keep this on track. Let's just keep moving forward. But I feel like it's funny because when Senator Ernie Chambers spoke about redistricting, he also threatened a lawsuit. I kind of feel like if you go up there and threaten a lawsuit,
Especially as a senator.
they tend to listen. Yeah, especially a senator. So, or at least half of them listen. It was weird because Palermo was the no vote, or he did not.
Which he usually votes with Johnson and Begley.
Yeah.
But yeah, he did not vote with them this time.
And you could see.
Yeah. Councilor
Councilmember
Johnson's like head spins to look at.
Yeah.
Like Palermo, you usually vote with me, you jerk. It's entertaining for us. Cool. All right. Anything else on biosludge?
No.
Okay. We just put a few notes about what happened at the planning meeting yesterday. I don't know if any of you watched that, but the big deals were the urban core housing and mobility plan, which had a lot of discussion, and the Anderson duo from the mayor's office kind of tag teamed both the urban core housing mobility plan and then Project Beacon, which is the Mutual of Omaha. So those were 2 separate items. The first one, which was the urban core housing and mobility plan, actually got a no vote from the president. Rosenbaum said he didn't get information early enough. He got it. I think Chris Bowling from the Reader was live tweeting, and he said that Rosenbaum mentioned that he got it on his desk like that morning or something. So for a huge freaking project,
That's the streetcar?
you'd want to, you think you'd want to maybe talk with the planning board ahead of time. But I kind of want to be like, yeah, Rosenbaum, welcome to like how we all feel, us lowly, residents who just are dying to know what's going on in our city, and we never get told anything ahead of time. So I can't imagine being like actually the planning board and not knowing what's going on when you're expected to vote about it. It was kind of like the city council and how this all got shoved on them without enough. I don't know. It's kind of same old. I guess I'm not really that.
No, they're
surprised.
definitely rushing it. They're like, we need to do this now. Like,
Yeah.
And they even said like, so a friend of ours, Sarah Jean Nelson, married to Dave Nelson, who I've known for 20 years skateboarding. She's the president of the
Dundee Memorial
Dundee.
Park
Yeah, there you
Neighborhood
go.
Association.
And she kind of got up. She's like, I'm kind of in a neutral position, but she said something that was really a good soundbite, that we're being tiffed to death.
Yeah.
And that she's kind of like, can anyone explain, where's it? And they just pat her on the head and be like, don't worry, your taxes aren't going to go up.
You got it handled.
Like, this tip is magic money, and who doesn't like magic money?
Free pizza.
Yeah. But there was a little bit of opposition from that, and then the next one right after was the Mutual of Omaha. But they even got up there and said, like, these 3 things are tied together. There is no Mutual of Omaha without a streetcar, and without knocking on the library.
Yeah.
Like, this is all part of the master plan, and it's gonna happen.
And I love how they like get up there and they're like, none of this is new. We've been talking about this for years, like trying to make everyone feel like we're the idiots for not understanding how this is moving so fast. It's like, well, you've been talking about it for there's a lot of stuff that's been, we've been talking about a fucking bike lane for a decade. Like, that's not actually happening right now. So there's a lot of things we've been talking about for a long time. Yes, Cindy, what's up?
So I have a question, and I'm so sorry if it's redundant, but doesn't the school district lose? I mean, nobody has said a word about it. It's almost like, oh yeah, it's like patting them on the head and saying, yeah, you'll be fine, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
But there's something fucking weird about all of this.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say that actually.
Yeah.
And it's not just one school district, if I'm correct. Senator Brandt mentioned something to me a couple of weeks ago or whatever, when I was at the legislature. about this, about how like basically all the tax money that goes to the schools goes in like one giant state pot and then goes out. So when a city misuses TIF like this and they're not getting any of that tax money, it's not like just the Omaha schools will be shorted that. It's everyone deals with a shortage, and the state either has to find that money from someplace else or the schools go without. And he was pissed about it.
Interesting.
So-
I
I
didn't
think,
know
I
that.
think in Omaha, on our property taxes, it shows you all the taxing entities. And
Who
I
gets
think
1%.
public schools is 55%. And so
Yeah.
they are the biggest losers when it comes to TIF.
So I will say I did hear them bring up that, because they've been hearing that as pushback, reasonably so, as like a bad reason to abuse TIF. And they were like, well, actually, that doesn't really change what the schools are getting, because if there wasn't TIF, if there wasn't development, they would only be getting taxed at this rate anyway. You know, they're not even going to worry about this 15 years of all this money, because if that development didn't happen because of TIF, they'd be right here anyway. So big deal. Who cares? No problem. But yeah, I mean, I'm obviously on the same page as all these faces on this call, because we know it stinks. And even if it's like, you know, it's the whole smell test thing, right? Like, we just, even if we can't articulate exactly how freaking complicated all of this is, like, it does not seem right to just continually every week hand out millions and millions and millions. Ooh, it just seems really wild. So I am interested in what will happen at the state. I mean, obviously it'll be too late to affect any of this, and that's partially, I think, why they're pushing all this stuff through at such a hurried pace, because they're worried they're getting caught. But yeah, I don't like it. And especially like, okay, so moving on to who's getting this huge $68 million TIF request, Mutual of Omaha. That was the next thing that passed. That is so absurd. It is a huge for-profit. What did I see? Like $11 billion of profit into, like, some absurd number. That might not be the right number, but like, they don't need, it's like, you know, when Buffett gets TIF,
Furniture
it's-
Mart got TIF.
Furniture Mart gets TIF, Kiewit get, you know, like all these, it's just wild. So
And the
yeah,
building that Berkshire Hathaway in, the Kiewit building, got TIF.
Yeah.
Literally where Warren Buffett goes to work, got TIF. So if they can't afford it, it's just like, you know, the whole but for. I know I listened to the legislator as well this week, and they were talking a lot about TIF. And man, Omaha got roasted. They were just like, you know, they keep on abusing TIF in Omaha. So, but
As we should. Like,
Yeah.
they are abusing it. It's horrible.
But the legislator, it seemed like they're like a very slow, methodical. So it might take them a year or two to catch up. By that time, hopefully, you know, the Jean Stother will get all of her last bit of TIF requests in before the state puts a stop to it. But I don't see. So I've been keeping track of just since June, when this current round of city council members were inaugurated, June in 2021. They've approved every single TIF project. I think we're up to 17 TIF projects, right at 69 million. And I know it's silly, but 115 yes votes, 1 no vote. That was Don Rowe against the Warhorse Casino. So I don't see, at least with this current city council and the current mayor, I don't see it changing. It's
that's why Council Club exists.
Yeah.
Because we need better elected representatives who will actually not just abuse everything, although I just kind of feel like they probably all will. But ideally, yeah, if we get better folks in there, then the mayor who appoints all the freaking boards, like, so the planning board is completely mayoral appointed. So of course they're gonna just do her bidding. And that was the other thing we kind of started talking about, is like, where are all the planning board folks? Where do they live? Scott pointed out one of them, Rosacker, lives outside of city limits, but he's on the urban core committee.
yeah, he lives at
Isn't
like
that cute?
220th. And on the planning board, there's one member is required to live outside of city limits, but within 3 miles of the boundary, and that's Rosacker. So yeah, out at 200th and like center. And again, his resume it's all public information, so I'm not like digging around. But yeah, he's on the urban planning, urban design something.
Urban core committee.
But even
There's
more,
so many other committees. I
but
guess,
digging
maybe.
deeper into the planning board, only one of them lives north of Dodge, and
On California,
on
like
California.
a couple blocks.
And
north
so
of Dodge.
no one on the planning, they're in the planning board, there's no one that lives in districts 1, 2, or 7. And then we know that Sydney Franklin is the only woman and the only African American. And so I'm slowly going through and looking at all of the mayoral boards that she appoints to show that, you know, Omaha likes to say that we're a blue city. And if you go to Douglas County, we have way more not way more, but we have more registered Democrats in Douglas County and as well as in Omaha. But when you elect a Republican mayor, you get Republican boards.
Everything.
And you get, it just multiplies and
destroys everything.
And heavily West Omaha boards too.
Yes.
yeah. And so I think it's
Very white, very white.
Make one of those maps, Scott. I want a
That's what I was
map
doing,
with
like-
I've already
pictures
got
of
it.
all the board members. Oh my
Yep.
gosh.
Yeah.
Shared everywhere. I would also love all of their pictures so
Mhm.
you can see them all next to each other.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's a lot of white guys.
There really
Yep.
are. Yeah. And that was, I don't know if y'all listened to or saw him retweet it, but Dewan testified and it didn't matter.
Yeah.
That's why we stopped going. But it was still fun to watch them speak. So cute.
But unfortunately, so Dewan gave a very eloquent,
Impassioned, he was like kind of screaming. And I love how you knew he was looking at Lanahaw. Like, we don't want this, you know,
Yeah.
like the board is here and he's looking at the developer over here. Like, we don't want it. I was just like, that's right. I'm like texting him like, yes, I love it.
and they try to like pat him on the head and be like, okay, we'll stick around. We'll get your questions answered. And then they just tell him, you know, go kick sand or kick whatever. And then for those of you that we watched the entire effing meeting, at the very end, right before they call for an adjournment, they literally have to take a vote to adjourn. Is it Rosenbaum, I think,
Yeah.
the chair? He says, before we adjourn, I just want to apologize. I should have let Dewan walk out when he basically just laughs at Dewan and be like,
And like makes fun of
these
him.
silly people that come here
Yeah.
and talk to us who aren't rich developers. Next time I'll just ask them to leave. And they all had a great laugh, including, unfortunately, Sydney Franklin.
Who Dewan
Oh.
says they're friends and they're maybe gonna have coffee next week. So we let Dewan know, like, hey, just so you know, they all like laughed at you and like had a little chuckle at your expense at the end of it. So like maybe when you have coffee with Sydney, you can ask her why she's acting like that.
But we've talked to people that have,
But I also don't envy the position that she is in. I do want to say that, like, I'm sorry, I'll just say she's the token Black woman that is on the planning board so that no one can say it's all white men. It's like, okay, there's one person who's not an old white man. And so I don't envy the position that she's in because of course she has to do what she has to do to like, you know, maintain her position and do whatever. But it's just like,
and I'm pretty sure she's the only, she's the token Democrat as well. Political parties not, some of them have actually run. I think Jeff Moore ran for something, so he has a
council.
ballot page.
Yeah.
And then I was on Data Nebraska, which takes campaign finances. And so I started searching for all their names, and you
To find contributions.
all of them
yeah.
contributed to Gene Stother.
Oh my gosh, no, really? How shocking.
But then they also, quite a few of them have gotten money from the Republican Party. So
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
Follow the money. It's all dirty.
Yeah.
And so now we're gonna have a giant expensive Mutual of Omaha building. guys, so again, he's an old, unfortunate white man who makes too many decisions about future city. Won't be able to beat him around to see, but he did push back. I appreciated the fact that he was like, you keep saying 4,000 new jobs. We're not really doing new jobs, right? We're just relocating them like a mile down the road. And they were like, oh yeah. So I
yeah,
like
Atlanta
that.
Hall was just like, I don't come up with these talking points. I just
I
I'm
just
up here to,
regurgitate them.
yeah,
Yeah,
tell 'em.
great.
he straight up said talking points. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's not the best talking point.
Yeah.
Okay.
So silly. But I like that, and I like that he voted no. So I'm like, okay, you like almost pay attention to some enough that like I think he just didn't like looking bad or like feeling so insignificant that he got the document so late that he was like, I'm gonna say no. It didn't matter. But yeah, I don't know.
I
Very
thought it was-
strange.
I mean,
30, 30, 30. I don't know what that means, Cindy. In context, was it brought up yesterday? I guess I don't know.
yeah, I don't remember either at the planning.
No,
board.
I think I actually heard it on the news tonight, and it has to do with adding 30 jobs. Oh, yeah.
1,000 affordable units.
30,000 jobs in 30 years and blah, blah, blah.
Do you remember how many affordable units they said they're going to have in 30 years?
Probably 30.
Close, 1,000. They literally said, we're gonna have 1,000 affordable units in 30 years.
Oh
And they
my
like
God.
pat themselves on the back, like, problem solved.
Oh
We
my
have
God,
an
it's so
80,000
gross.
unit shortage yesterday. So like, let's wait for 20, I don't know. Yeah. It's wild. And just to hear like Troy Anderson talking about parking lots and like maybe someone will go from a 2-car family or a 3-car family to a 2-car family in that region now because of the streetcar. Like it's all such
Oh yeah,
a
he had
silly
this
charade.
great, you could tell they workshopped it. You're like, imagine you live downtown. Yeah. You have to go to your doctor at UNMC. You get on the streetcar, you go to UNMC, and then you want to go to the College World Series. So you take the streetcar back to the College World Series. Then after that, you want to go to the old market and you're just on the streetcar. And I'm like, how are you getting from the streetcar to all these little things? I'm like, you mean it's amazing how he said all this stuff without actually saying the word walk. He was able to be like, you're gonna get all around the city, like you don't even know.
All our broken sidewalks. Have fun. With all
Exactly.
of that.
And love for pedestrians and love for crosswalks and
Yeah.
yeah.
So what I
8
think
years on Dodge, 3 years in the making, still under
Yeah.
construction. So.
So what I think is interesting is that he said something about we'll turn some of those parking lots into affordable housing areas or whatever. And it's like, what the heck? They're still like planning on people driving down there to park so that they can pay for. I mean, it's so there's such a paradox that it makes your mind just want to split.
Yep. Because they're going to be destroying parking lots to build these other things, but also we're going to use the money from the parking lots to fund this operation. Like, I don't know. Again, they'll just tell us we're too stupid and we don't understand it. Well, guess what? You're doing a bad job of making it clear then, because if none of us understand it, then that's on you, City of Omaha, for not making it transparent enough for folks to understand. Ugh.
Did I see something about the multiple stories of parking garage that they're putting at the base of the Mutual building? It's a city parking garage though.
I heard that too. I don't know. I don't know. I think that I don't
Maybe
know.
that's part of the deal too. The city's still gonna get parking money from it or
I
whatever.
think that's maybe how they're going to try to justify some of the TIF. I haven't looked at their TIF.
It kind of
application.
reminds me of the UNMC parking garage.
Right. We
So
gave them $30
there's a
million.
new parking garage going up on Saddle Creek, part of the UNMC, the old galvanizing plant.
Right.
And the
Oh, I
city,
wondered what that was.
the city is building a $30 million parking garage. And then they're going to be leasing, I think 60% of the spaces will be leased to UNMC. So I think it's the same thing.
So yeah, the public will probably be able
With
to use
Mutual.
a certain percentage of it, with most of it.
But that is
Earmarked
weird.
for
Like you have a
Mutual.
building where it's like the city down here and then Mutual of Omaha up here. It's like, wow, that's
And that goes against complete streets, like nothing is good when you put parking at eye level, like that kills a
Right.
city block. So I'm so glad they're gonna just put fucking car storage right across the street from a park. Like it's just so painful to watch, but I guess we'll see. There's also some conversation about the land swap piece of it, which has not been approved yet. That was because there was another opponent who spoke wondering about kind of how that was going to work. Yeah, there's just so many questions, and then they don't really even answer all of them, of course. Yeah, it was not surprising, but still kind of sad to watch.
and Sarah and I, we sometimes will say that it's not worth your time. Don't waste your time. And even Dewan said, as he got up, you can hear him like spouting off, like, this is a waste of my time. And we say that 99% of the time, unless your name is on the agenda or it is next door, or it's an agenda item that is literally next door to you, then maybe they'll listen to you. And believe it or not, right after Dewan got up and left, they actually listened to a neighbor. There was a church bell. I don't
Oh
know,
yeah, I don't know
somewhere
where it
out
was.
west.
Yeah,
and it rings 212 times a day.
so
Like
absurd, so absurd.
And they actually denied their special permit. And they were kind of like, you could see them like him and hawing, like, please don't
make
make
do
us
this. Yeah.
like,
Because the church had come to the planning board requesting a special use permit for this bell that's like too loud, too many times, there's a bunch of issues with
yeah, it was 70 decibels. They said it's over
whatever's allowed.
like 60 decibels is allowed during the day, but 70 is considered a nuisance.
Yeah. And so these, the neighbors spoke out against it, and then the like church representative was like, "Oh, Pastor Tom really likes this bell." I don't know if it was a pastor. I don't know what church
And
is, but
it's not just, because I guess most church bells are noon and 6 p.m. And then they said weddings, funerals, special events, Christmas, Easter, I would imagine. But their bell is every hour, every half hour.
yeah, like I was trying to think. That's, I mean, how do
200
they get
times.
to 200? Like that would be 24. How do they make that times 10?
I think each
every-
ding, they counted each time it
Oh
meant.
God. Anyway, it was a whole thing. And so the planning board was hoping that the church would listen to the neighbors and pull their request. And the planning board actually did vote it down, which you rarely see. They usually, again, we talk a lot, just rubber stamp everything on through. But at the end, they were like, we really wish the church would have just not made us have to do this and just like taken care of it by yourself. But yeah, we're like, yeah, sorry, you have to do your job. It's not always comfortable. But also, yeah, way to go. Something about love thy neighbor. I don't know, not religious, but I feel like that church maybe could have taken their own advice.
But we don't, and we're trying to figure out that, will this then go to city council with, because usually
They
planning,
denied it. So
but I know, but
oh, yeah.
still, but we don't know if planning
the
has the
process is.
authority to, like, I kind of want to drive out there and listen to this bell. Like, I want to see if it's still going on, because I think planning board is like, okay, we denied your special request, but
So
then I think it's,
immediately, is
I feel like it
supposed
usually
to-
goes planning and then city council.
Yeah.
Like with TIF, it goes planning, city council. So
Yeah.
I'd imagine this special use permit is going to come to city council without planning's approval. Most of the time it's with planning's approval.
Yeah.
Um,
We'll be keeping an eye on church bills.
and so
is what
it
we're
still
trying to
might
say.
actually go through, and city council might be like, I like churches.
Okay, Cindy, exactly what you just said. The bell was being used as a timepiece. That was brought up.
Yeah.
Exactly. One of the opponents was like, I understand, like back in the day, it was helpful to have like a bell tower so that you knew what time it was. But now, like, pretty much everybody has access to technology that lets them know what time it is. So yeah, it was just like a really weird.
And for me,
conversation.
I'd imagine, I think the church is trying to flex and be like, every half hour it's free advertising. Like, hey everyone, member church, remember to come on Sunday and give us 10% of your earnings.
All right, we're gonna
Yeah.
keep going, but that was interesting. Yeah. Okay, what else? So let's get out of the planning board meeting and look at Tuesday.
So
City council.
planning board meeting is when though?
The
It's on-
first Wednesday of the month at 1:30.
Oh, it's just once a month. Okay.
Yep.
And so
And you
I
can find the agenda on the city website.
I have if you have a YouTube account or a Gmail account, I think you can just access YouTube. Anyways, I subscribe to the .com, which is Douglas County Technology something. It's basically where all the live streams take place. And so and then I have notifications turned on. So whenever .com turns on a live stream, I just get an instant notification saying, hey, planning board meeting's happening right now. And so sometimes I forget, but then YouTube reminds me, because like there's health and the mayoral campaign or committee on disabilities. They meet once a month. And so I'll usually just turn them on and kind of put it on in the background. But that's a really good way if you don't remember all these weird meetings, just to subscribe to .com and you'll get notifications when a meeting's coming.
Yes. Okay, so speaking of planning, ALAC YouTube, yeah, right, Active Living Advisory
They are
Committee is a
not they are not
joke.
streamed.
Because they are a joke of a committee. Again, mayoral appointment. So many people from MoShift applied. She appointed none of us. Hell's not MoShift. Anyway, yeah. joke committees.
It's weird because
galore.
like there was a board of equalization
Mhm.
this last Tuesday at 1:00 before the city council meeting. It's one of the weird ones. I don't know what they choose to stream. I feel like some things are mandated, or not mandated, but required to be broadcast publicly. But yeah, no Vision Zero, no ALAC. It's basically planning board, Douglas County commissioners, city council, and then a few little things sprinkled in once a month.
Okay, so for Tuesday, March 8th, the city council agenda is what we're going to jump into now. It's a short agenda, and there's like 30 some items, so it won't be very long. Items 6 through 12 is the planning stuff. So most of it's out west, 168th and State, I think. There was one that was in the Dolman neighborhood, which is at 6th and Woolworth. That's item 13. And it's
Click on
for,
the agenda.
Yep.
6 through 13. Was there any communication oppositions? I don't think there was. Or was there one? Nope,
on 13.
none of them.
Oh, yeah.
And so if there's no
Recommend
communication
approval,
opposition,
recommend
I kind of feel like that's usually where the NIMBYs will come out
Not
and-
in my backyard.
and they're organized. But with this current city council, they have not denied any planning agenda items. So makes our job easier in that we we can pretty much guarantee that all the planning board, all the planning, rezoning, replatting will sail right through with the perfect vote, 7-0.
Yeah, there's
A
like one of
perfect
these
balance.
is, yeah, one of these is like a deck building request
Yeah.
or something, but yeah, the only one that's actually like redevelopment is, yeah, so it's just the development plan that is item 13, and that is for 24 new units, multifamily housing at 6th and Woolworth.
There's an upcoming Saddle Creek and Pacific.
Oh, yeah.
That's 100. That one has communication opposition.
Is that on this agenda?
No,
Or-
it's not.
It's
It's coming up
through
on the
planning,
planning,
yeah.
but also they're asking for tip.
Oh, double whammy.
Yeah.
All right, good
But
times.
again, I'll go through, no problem.
Yeah, so nothing else too exciting in planning stuff. Items 17 through 25 are consent agenda, so public hearing opportunities. $360,000 grant, this is item 20, for under the sink. They do like recycling of weird waste. Item 22 is $30,000 for pond management in parks.
Yeah.
And then there was about $85,000 going into the Mockingbird Hills Community Center. They're getting some renovations done and some new HVAC stuff. That's items 23 and 24. Library fans, if you want to talk shit about the library move or whatever library related, item 25, it's just about some purchases for the library. So if you want to talk about how underfunded or whatever, item 25 will let you talk about the library.
And then, so yeah, 20. There was golf carts.
Oh yeah, I have that next.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Oh, so that's not on consent.
No, it's on second reading.
Oh, okay.
So, okay, so library is 25, 26 is that sludge cake situation. And then 27 through 33 are ordinances on the second reading. And so they will have public hearing on Tuesday as well. I know some people are unhappy about the Millwork Commons situation. So if you want to talk about that, it's item 27. And yes, 28 is $311,000 to lease 144 new gas-powered golf carts. Blah. I just don't like anything.
The
about
reason
that, so I just-
that caught my eye was, I don't know if you follow Sarah Cohen on
Not
Instagram.
really.
She ran
It's
for
great.
she ran against Amy Melton, District 7,
Yeah.
lost by I forget how, but a very small margin, almost won. But you can tell I think she is hoping to run again,
Yeah,
maybe in
absolutely.
4 years.
Yeah.
And so she made a post, I think it was just today, maybe yesterday, about how we as a city, specifically the city employees, city public works, all that, needs to transition to electric vehicles.
That's what I just typed.
Oh, yeah.
I wish they would.
Yeah, and
at
I was
least
just
get
like,
electric.
oh, you must be talking about these $300,000 in
the
golf
golf
carts, which I remember back like, geez, 20 years ago, I was on a golf cart. It was electric.
Yeah,
I
it's not
remember
like they
that-
don't exist.
That used to be a thing because I think you want it to be quiet. You
Yeah.
don't want to have smelly gas.
Yeah,
Um,
all of the reasons.
and I was like, what would be, that would be so easy just to get, yeah, like they definitely make electric golf carts. Like that's been around for
Maybe
a
I should
while.
email Kalsevich, the
Yeah.
parks director. It's too late now. I'm probably not going to, but someone
They
could.
also just bought a bunch of Ford
Yes,
trucks
Oh, yeah.
or something. That just
every
happened.
week.
yes.
Every week.
They have no problem buying trucks.
And they did buy, I remember they bought one electric vehicle. They have bought one.
for the parking meter person, I
Yeah.
think. Yeah.
Oh, and did you
Which
see?
that person should have an electric bicycle, by the way, and the rest of that shit should transition to electric. Yeah, it's so
I
silly.
think you skipped over it, but there is like 200,000 for repairing parking meters.
Oh yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah.
Where was that one? like it was maybe the first of the, item 17. IPS Group is going to get almost $200,000 for meter repairs, parts and accessories and credit card fees. So
Yeah.
just
Which is
more fun facts for you.
I do want to know how much of that's credit card fees, though. I'm curious.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when I saw that, I'm like, wait a second, that's streetcar money. Like we're paying for the streetcar with parking fees, and then you're gonna take 200 out. I'm sure we come out on top, but
Yeah, I'm sure everything's totally fine. Nothing to see here, friends. Let's
I
see.
was going to ask you about the Millwork Commons thing.
Yeah.
Because I tried to, like look at the map and stuff. I didn't really understand like what this was for. Like, what exactly are the improvements?
This one, I know. It's talking about landscaping. I don't really know what exactly it is. It was kind of vague, it seemed like. I did look at that attachment.
Okay, I'm not totally
I-
correct. I didn't miss something super obvious then.
No. I think it's just like they just did something like this on 24th by Creighton as well. So it's like with lighting and landscaping, they basically are just like, we're not gonna touch it. City of Omaha doesn't want to, so they're trying to pass it off either to Creighton on 24th or
Okay.
Millwork over there. So I found your answer to the rate for credit card transaction fees, Amy. It is 13 cents per transaction, and there were 246,732 for the quantity of swipes.
I mean, which considering, those transactions are usually what, 250 or less or whatever for a lot of them. Like
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
a pretty hefty
nothing.
fee.
Yeah. SSCFT credit card
Yeah,
transaction fee
so-
for single space parking meters. And
okay,
that's
so yeah,
just
250.
that's for the year of 2022 is what it says, but isn't this
Man, that's like, you're
2022?
right, that's 20%. If you're doing a $2 charge,
Yeah.
that's 20% going to credit cards. I know when I do like Etsy, I think we're like credit card alone is usually 3%, and then Etsy tags on another 5,
Oh,
but you're not up to 20.
wow.
And then what about, so this other one is it's almost $6 per when it comes to managing a single space for a monthly management system fee. I don't know what that, so I can actually just do a quick screen share if y'all want to see what we're looking at.
If you pay for like a garage to have a spot in the garage,
That's kind of what
Yeah.
I'm thinking.
they
But then
give
it says-
$6 a month to IPS.
but then it still says parking meters. But one more friends here. Cool.
Which I don't know who IPS is. Is that a local thing?
San Diego. Yeah, I don't know.
I think they must make the meters and the credit card readers. I mean, I would imagine those little credit card, each little meter must have
Oh, here there's more.
a
And then repair
cellular or
services.
Wi-Fi somehow way to communicate with
Hmm.
with Visa in order to charge your credit card. Oh yeah,
here's some
4G.
more stuff too.
There we go.
Yeah.
They use Verizon.
Okay, interesting. And so this was okay. So sorry to just be scrolling all over the place. This is an estimate, I guess, for 2022, and so they're guessing it's going to be 246,000 parking transactions at this type of meter, and then 13,000 in what we maybe think is a garage.
Just
but
a management fee.
yeah, that's pretty wild. That's management fee, credit card fee. Yeah, I don't know. Interesting.
Man, I don't think that City of Omaha could get around. We could.
Right.
Well, wow! Maybe the City of Omaha could mint its own cryptocurrency. Call it the bot hurt.
Oh God. All right. Well, good. Well, that was a good question though, AJ, on the credit card fees, because interesting. Okay, any other questions on that before we keep it on? There's really not too much else, I guess. The litter removal stuff had a broken link, so I don't know what that's about. And then item 30 was just an agreement with CHI, and that's who Festerson works for, so he'll probably have to recuse himself from that vote. It's for some employee assistance program, but I don't exactly know what that means. It's actually just kind of an extension of a contract that already seems to exist, but that is all we had notes wise. So what else?
Well, employee assistance program, that's the mental health EAP.
Okay.
Employee assistance program is city employees can get so many like free counseling sessions.
Okay, good. Well, cool. That's being extended. That's item 30, in case anybody wants to look at that. And yeah, I think that was the last of my notes.
No, just that I know Mark Brennan joined us a little bit late. We spent a couple, like 10 minutes talking about the sludge cake. I know you're a big fan of the sewer treatment facility. Did you catch any of, I don't know if you're listening, Mark, but did you catch any of Senator Wayne's opposition last Tuesday? Maybe not, might be busy. But...
No, I did not see that, but I love sludge.
So Senator Wayne, he's actually not, he's coming in as the representative for one of the trucking companies that lost the bid or was denied the bid. And then they just completely fucked up the appeal process. But Senator Wayne, I'm sorry, Justin Wayne, the lawyer, came down there on behalf of the client to basically say that if you guys don't lay this over, a lawsuit is coming down the pipe for basically non-competitive. Yeah. But yeah, the attachments are pretty good. The attachments are really good from last week.
It's going to be voted on this coming Tuesday.
Yep.
Item 26. And then we just talked about, yeah, the planning board, good times. And yeah. Does anybody else have anything they want to share while we're recording, or should I hit stop on that and then we can talk freely? All right, I'm gonna hit stop. Thanks for watching.